Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII accomplishes a striking balance of old and new and juggles fan service with immaculate role-playing satisfaction. It's striking how these components have been molded into such an engaging and candidly influencing prequel. There are a few new characters and bounty of fan favorites as well, such as Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith. Be that as it may, the characters you're most likely to empathize with are improbable ones, counting hero Zack and Sephiroth, who is complex, troubled, and indeed sometimes likable. The way their individual stories weave in and out of each other and set the range for the events in Final Fantasy VII makes Crisis Core not just the finest role-playing experience accessible on the PSP, but moreover one of the most excellent Japanese RPGs in a long time. Zack isn't new to the franchise, but he was a mere flashback in Final Fantasy VII, which may not make him seem like the best choice of a leading man for a prequel to one of the best RPGs ever created. Yet, he's interesting as any Square Enix star and transcends the usual spiky-haired heroism and teenage angst with an uncommon maturity that develops as the game continues. Revealing almost any plot points could be a spoiler. The Gaia world is rich with mythology and complex character motivation. What's important is how the characters interact, change, and grow. Scenes between Zack and Cloud are both effortless and poignant and stem directly out of Zack's most aggressive character traits, trust, and loyalty. As each plot thread twists together and the game reaches its inevitable conclusion, your heart will soften and you may shed a few tears. Crisis Core tells a memorable and exciting tale, but more importantly, it makes you care about its characters. Even if you are new to the lore, the game's final scenes are amazing and heartfelt, and one sequence in particular that brilliantly mingles gameplay with narrative is one of the most incredible and moving moments in a role-playing history. The game's staggering cutscenes have an immense impact on the candidly resounding story. There's a harmonious blend of pre-rendered cinematics and in-game cutscenes, and both were made with precision. Sensational camera angles frame Crisis Core's most prominent moments. There's a standout scene in which Sephiroth comes into profound focus, employing a cinematography method commonplace to Alfred Hitchcock fans. This kind of extent is uncommon in cutscenes, indeed in RPGs, however it's never constrained or overcompensated here. The quality is further improved by mind-blowing voice acting. Past Final Fantasies have now and then suffered from awkward English voiceovers, but each actor here conveys the correct degree of feeling at the correct time, which in turn gives weight to the story. As Zack develops, the newly discovered confidence supplant his pre-adult presumption. When Angel tells Zack that he's just a little more important than his sword, you'll listen an unpretentious smile in his deep, commanding baritone. If you enjoyed Final Fantasy VII, this kind of attention to detail won't come as a surprise. However, you may be startled at how the combat works. Crisis Core is an action RPG. Granted, it does have many of the same elements of Final Fantasy VII material, limit breaks, and so on. However, it plays nothing like its inspiration, which may irritate some fans. This doesn't make it better or worse, but it does make it different, and once you get used to it, it's a lot of fun. Battles are almost exclusively random, with the exception of those that end your side missions. More on those later. When combat begins, you are limited to a contained area, but you can move freely within. To target an enemy, you simply face its direction, and to attack, you hit X. It's not quite real time, but rather a series of quick turns that give you a smidgen of time in between to select a different spell or attack. You can switch among different options and spells on the fly using the shoulder buttons. If you're familiar with the Tales series, Tales of the Abyss, and so on, you'll have a rough idea of how the combat works in Crisis Core. You can moreover guard and avoid incoming attacks in spite of the fact that doing so spends action points. A number of special attacks such as Ambush, Twister also utilize action points. Other attacks like spells utilize up magic points. To perform them, you would like to have and prepare the corresponding materia. Zack can't utilize an unlimited number of materia and he's constrained to a certain number at a time. So you'll need to select shrewdly before you head into late game combat, particularly in the event that you know a boss battle is up and coming. You'll also combine materia together to form new spells or upgraded attacks, such as the impressive Tandara Blade. There are times that you'll have to take advantage of your materia and avoid incoming attacks. All things considered, for the first half of the game, Crisis Core is astoundingly simple, and the part of fights comes down to pounding on the X button. There's no deficiency of potions and gil either, and given simply can buy things at any save point. There's no reason not to be fully stocked. The combat is fun and it will get Final Fantasy fans talking, but no mechanical element is bound to get more attention than the Digital Mind Wave or DMW. The DMW is a slot reel that holds the key to two important facets of Crisis Core's gameplay: leveling up and powerful attacks called limit breaks. The reel contains 6 slots, 3 that contain character portraits and 3 that contain numerical digits. As you fight foes, you earn soldier points, which in turn functions as currency that keeps the DMW in the top left corner spinning. When the left and right character portraits match, you enter a separate limit burge screen where you wait for the digit slots and the center character slot to stop spinning. If you match all 3 portrait slots, you unleash a limit break, which is accompanied by a dramatic cinematic. If you match numerals, you may level up and equip materia or Zack himself. The DMW also controls some status changes, such as temporary invisibility, though they aren't signaled by a change to the limit verge screen. This all sounds exceptionally befuddling, and it may take you a few times to figure out precisely what's going on. Basically, leveling and limit breaks are cleared out to the roll of a dice, or in this case, the turning of the reel. The thought of random leveling and special attacks may make you squirm, and on paper it sounds like a terrible idea. In Hone, it works out distant superior than you'd think. A bit like once you drag the lever of a real space machine, it's energizing and charming to see in the event that you make a match. You can skip past the limit verge screen, but if you'd be lost to the point, and the caution that you simply can't skip past cutscenes in spite of the fact that you'll skip out of the long summoning animations and the flashbacks that sometimes stream up amid limit verges. Your results are not totally arbitrary, since your character's increased emotions make it likelier that the DMW will turn up a positive result, such as after a phone call with Aerith. However, you'll go a while without leveling up, as it were to level up numerous times in a brief period of time. Beyond any doubt, it's a strange system, and it'll make your head turn at first, but it'll gotten to be a second nature, and within the conclusion it works. The drawback is that it takes control of the game's most noteworthy attacks out of the hands of the player. Not everybody appreciates having the game do the grunt work for them, but the system is unique and streamlined, and likely to develop on you. Outside of the main story, there are plenty of side missions to keep you occupied. Most of them boil down to entering an area, killing a bunch of creatures, and earning your reward. It's simple, sure, but incredibly addicting. Perfect for players on the go, and you may find yourself losing hour after hour to mission after mission. This is Crisis Core's grinding mechanic, but the combat is entertaining enough and the DMW mesmerizing enough to keep you involved. Some of the missions also weave in cameos from the other characters, such as a charming set of missions centered on an impish Yuffie, yet the action and limited customization goes only so far, and it seems that Square Enix understood that. Crisis Core is on the short side, clocking in at around 20 hours if you do a reasonable number of side missions, though you could add another 10 if you want to see every secret the game is hiding, and there are some good ones that will get fans talking. That may make the game feel less grand than previous entries, but in actuality, the length feels just right and keeps the action from wearing out its welcome. You'll marvel at Crisis Core's visual and sonic beauty. Environments were planned with careful detail, from the ghettos of Midgard to the crystalline vistas of an underground lake. Character design is similarly awesome, from Genesis' serious Gear to Zack's shining blue eyes. Monsters look incredible as well, and the forcing and surprising bosses are especially great to view. The game sounds as great as it looks, beginning with the awesome melodic score which incorporates both crushing rock tracks and frequenting symphonic intervals. There are moments in which the action is undermined, not with the same heart-pumping guitars we've listened before, but with gentler tunes. These fights feel indeed more imperative since the music interfaces them so well with the enthusiastic scenes that came before. Furthermore, familiar sound effects have been overhauled and new ones included to form for combat that sounds as colossal as it looks. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII is a game you must play if you own a PSP, if you like RPGs, or if you want to get lost in a gripping story. Like most Final Fantasy games that came before it has its quirks. However, this is one of those cases where you should embrace them for their originality and charm because they add something uniquely compelling to the game. The only truly disappointing aspect of Crisis Core is reaching the end, because Gaia is a world you want to stay in, populated with extraordinary characters who will move you. Hey guys, that's it. If you guys like the video, leave a like, let me know what you think of the video, and as always, I hope you enjoy.